Hi, Wannabes, and welcome to a new episode of Wannabe Americana, hosted by me, of course. Okay, so in today's episode, I really just want to speak on the Western brain and local reality and just trying to navigate it because honestly, like, I'm never going to lie to you, as someone who has a Western brain, who has lived on the Western side of things, it is exhausting. I think first thing I do want to speak on is just how to spot someone who's lived abroad. And I think for me, the biggest thing is the way they think. That's like my number one thing. But there's three things, okay? First thing is they have global awareness and a deeper cultural understanding, okay? Global awareness meaning they exist outside of their hometown. So like they realize that there's a world outside of where they're from. Okay? That's one. Two is they've gone through personal growth, be it they think differently, they question more, and they are just in a state of lifelong learning. Okay? If you've lived in your hometown your whole life, you live in this bubble, right? Where everything is just how you want it to be at every point in time. Like you've never experienced anything where you're basically like thrown into the deep end, to learn a new language, make new friends, meet new people, learn new cultures. So that's where I'm coming from. And last but not least is they are more individualistic, independent, direct, and able to state their opinions clearly. Being thrown into the deep end in another man's land, you need to stand your ground. You need to find who you are so you don't lose yourself to society in a different place. And you need to have your own opinions on certain things, such as, stand your ground on your values, stand your ground on what you believe in, and all that stuff, especially when you are abroad. So those are three things, right? Now, having these three things have their pros and their cons, okay? And that's what this episode is going to be talking about. We're going to be focusing more on the cons of things, right? And the first thing we're going to be talking about is the know-it-all stigma. I don't know why, but there's this thing that, like, once people hear an accent, they just assume that, like, basically you're trying to demean them if you're having an argument. Let me explain it a bit further. So I have this friend. He was basically raised in the UK. He's been in the UK most of his life, so he has a really, really strong UK accent. Okay? And he's also very, very, how would I say, very opinionated in the best way. Like, if you're going to argue with him, you need to have your facts straight. If you're going to argue him with anything in politics, if you're going to argue him anything regarding philosophy, history, you need to have your facts straight. If not, he will eat you up, basically. And it's not to say that he just knows his stuff, And he was telling me, like, we were in a conversation this one time, right? And he was talking to this one person who is a local here. And he was like, I don't know what I did wrong. Like, I was talking to her and she said something and I just like said my own POV. And she was basically saying that I'm just like demeaning her and I'm just like trying to make her feel small and make her feel stupid, which had me dying, okay? Which had me dying laughing because the thing with him is when I have a conversation with him or I'm about to get into an argument with him, I need to make sure the argument I'm getting to, not necessarily an argument, it's not even an argument. It's just like, you're just like sharing your thoughts and opinions about something, right? And maybe you might agree or disagree on certain opinions, right? And he's just very direct with how he says things. And I feel like I'm also a very direct person. I feel like I don't allow people make me feel small. Like, what do I look like being like feeling small when somebody says something to me? Do you get what I mean? But like she took it, she was like, no, you can't talk to me like this, that you have no right to speak to me like this. And then I heard the conversation and I was like, at the end of the day, you just didn't know enough about the topic. You get what I mean? You didn't know enough about the topic and you go into an argument with someone who did know enough about the topic. But those are kind of the things. And then that has been a struggle for him for such a really long time. I'm more so like, I have my thoughts, I have my opinions. And like, if it's not necessary for me to speak my opinions or speak my thoughts, I'm usually very quiet. But for him, he's very assertive, very like, I'm going to go, 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 go type shit, right? And he's had his issues. he's had his fair share of being called a know-it-all. But those are one of the stigmas when it comes to like being a returnee or just being somebody who is just more knowledgeable or be, has experienced more and knows more. And I think it's not even just like that, isn't just about moving back. Another thing that she pointed out was like his, he was like, oh, he's using his slangs, his UK slangs to talk anyhow to me. And I'm like, babes, like, now you've lost the point. And like with those kind of people, I don't necessarily argue with them, because it's not a matter of what I'm saying. It's just a matter of like, oh, they haven't found themselves yet. Oh, they're still in this like insecure phase in their life that they're trying to figure out. And I respect that. Like, I can see your point of view, but at the same time I don't, because like if you always view conversations with people who have accents or who have lived, in different places and have experienced so many lives, and you feel insecure about that, that is more of a you problem. Like, you're not like proud of you and like proud of yourself. But like those are one of the things that I know that, returnees face and have to deal with, because I know he felt super bad about it, but it's also like that's also who you are. You can't like play small to make other people feel comfortable, because then you're no longer yourself, like, if that makes sense. So like that's one struggle that I've noticed, and I just feel like you just need to own that. And how I've navigated that, when I don't think I don't know, I don't associate myself with insecure people. Like our first meeting, like the auras would just not go. So I haven't had the opportunity to meet any insecure people in my lifetime. I mean, I have, but like since I've been back, I haven't really associated with a lot of insecure people. But like if I were to, associate with someone who is, just constantly trying to pick on you and like pick on certain things because, you're more confident, you're more knowledgeable, you know more things, I would just say like keep your distance. That's my thing. And like not necessarily play small, just avoid the person as much as you can. And if you can't avoid the person, I feel like definitely have a conversation about it and just kind of, be like, I feel that it's like you're acting a certain kind of way towards me, and you are just you're attributing me belittling you to the fact that I have an accent and I'm more knowledgeable. Like if you actually look at the facts, you realize like you're not necessarily doing anything wrong, as long as you're not being disrespectful in how you speak and you're actually not demeaning somebody. I feel like you should just probably just keep your distance from that person. Maybe they're still in their phase of like trying to figure themselves out type thing. You get what I mean? Second thing I do want to speak about is definitely the status loss and identity friction. So like some people, have to move back home, not necessarily because they want to move back home, but they are forced to move back home. So either that be like a curveball, somebody had a medical condition back home, and then, just circumstances make you have to move back home, and then you have to get a job and you have to like adapt back to like family life, which can be very traumatizing, because comparing, like when you're trying to get a job based off of the experience that you have and you're earning in your local currency compared to like what you used to earn in, it's not the same. And sometimes like that can be very, very depressing, because it's just like after everything you've worked for, you had to move back and then start your life all over again, and then you're not even like earning what you deserve type thing. So like I haven't really experienced that, because honestly I feel like I started building myself up here. But in terms of like content creation and me being a content creator, I had to start from the beginning and build myself back up, which is honestly sometimes it can be really, really exhausting. You feel like it's a losing battle, but it's just like I just have to look at the bright side and just be like, okay, like this is another opportunity to, say I built it brick by brick. You get what I mean? But I do get it. I do understand like there's just this kind of like unspoken sadness that, it just is what it is. But also it's like, damn, it sucks. Like I wish I didn't have to like go through this whole process. I wish I could have just kept on elevating where I was. But I like to look at life as like half full, like, and not like half empty, and just like have faith and believe that like there's a reason for everything, and there's a reason why, you're starting from the beginning, or why, just life is the way it is. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I find solace in, if that makes sense. So the third thing is definitely the value clash, you guys. I have had to deal with this. I actually have had to deal with this, because honestly, when I moved abroad, like, okay, no, back up. there was a moment where I had like I wasn't talking to family for real, just because I just felt like my boundaries were crossed, and everybody was like, "No, she's going to call." I'm like, "No, like y'all hurt me in the worst way possible, and that boundary has been crossed." Like I have, like I had told my mom, I was like, when I like me and my mom have this relationship, you know, like sometimes like African moms, you tell them something and they'll go and use you as gist to all their friends. And one day, one of my aunties came and met me and she's like, Biani, I heard that you did. I called my mother. I said, Mom, never in your life do such a thing again. If you want me to continue telling you things, I don't want to be hearing my gist anywhere else. Like, I'm very, very like boundary driven, because being from a collectivist culture, people just feel like it is their right to walk all over you because it is just what the culture is. And I had to definitely like be like, no, like this is it. Like you're not going to cross this boundary. You're not going to. And I mean, it has been hard here and there, but I feel like, again, thank God for my parents, because they have been able to respect those boundaries and understand where I'm coming from. Like I was having a conversation with my mom where I think I was just, you know, when you just be pouring your heart out and you don't necessarily want any advice, like you just want somebody to just listen. And then my mom gave me advice and I was like, Mom, like I love you so much, but there's times when I just like need you to listen. Like I don't want to hear what you have to say at this moment. I know like some people are listening to it, it's like, oh my gosh, Benny, like that's crazy. But my mom is actually the most amazing mother. Like I don't even see myself being raised by any other woman, because my mother is just someone who loves to listen. Like she's always willing to learn and get to know her kids more, right? And it took us a long way to get to this point. So I applaud her every single time I talk to her. Every single time I talk to her, I'm like, I'm so proud of you, Mama. Like, thank you for listening to us, and thank you for just like taking our advice and just like also, you know, talking to us like you're not just our mom, but like you're our friend, and also trying to see from our perspective. Like that's what my mom always does. So yeah, I will always, if I have the opportunity to just gush about my mother, I will gush about her forever. Okay, because I love her so much. But like, you know, those kind of situations, I feel like my mom definitely respects my boundaries very, very much. Like she understands that, yes, I'm an adult and she can't treat me like a child anymore. And I'm so grateful for that. So that's one thing, right? I haven't necessarily had like issues with my boundaries. I just feel like also being back, a lot of people tend to walk all over you because they feel like they can. And it is always very important to kind of just like set that right there. Like, you know, just certain things like you can't do this, you can't speak to me this way, you can't. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you cannot. Like, you wouldn't talk to anybody else like this, so why would you talk to me? I'm very, very strict about those kind of things because I don't even have the capacity. I'm a very, like, I think my mental health, like, my mental is very, very fragile. So, like, anything that disturbs my peace will be extracted immediately. I feel like some of my friends or my ex-friends and my aunties and uncles that have thoughts and they have been dumped, I think they're still surprised till today, but I don't play about my peace and I don't play about my boundaries. 100%. Whoever wants to hate on me, go ahead and hate on me. But those things, maintaining my peace is such a priority to me. Okay, so regardless of whatever, that would always be like my number one priority. Second thing is definitely just like me giving direct feedback. I think like ever since I moved back, I've always been someone. No, actually, I feel like I've always been direct. Because I was talking to my best friend and she was like, Biani, you've gotten so much better. Because before I was blunt without like caring about your feelings, honestly. Like I just used to say it as it is. But now I like usually think I take my time before I give feedback. So I don't use the wrong words. But one thing I'm beginning to realize here is people don't like the truth. People cannot deal with the truth. People cannot handle the truth. So in situations like that, I tend to just avoid and just like give you your piece. But that's one thing I've realized that is like such a huge thing here. Like people are not willing to take direct feedback. People want to sugarcoat things and stroke people's egos, which is just very, very like, I don't know what the heck. Also, I mean, like all these things can, or usually like if you have boundaries, if you do direct, like if you have direct feedback, you have your own personal ambition, you're achievement oriented. Some people can view that as being selfish or being disrespectful. And honestly, like I don't get it, because at the end of the day, like why are we all walking on eggshells around everybody? Because at the end of the day, all of us want the same thing. We all want boundaries. We all want, we all have our personal ambitions. We all appreciate direct feedback and we all can definitely give it. But like when you see somebody who is so like in their own, doing their own thing, it is regarded as selfish or being disrespectful. I have never been able to get it. I don't even want to understand it or even get it. If you want to be walked all over on, go crazy. If you want to, play small, go crazy. But will I want to do that? No. Like everybody's always trying to like play small, play humble, and always like I hate when people be throwing around, oh my gosh, like you need to be humble, you need to like you shouldn't be doing all that. You don't need to tell everybody what you're doing. Excuse you. Excuse you, please. Do you, babe? Do you? Me, on the other hand, I've never wanted to play humble before. Why will I start now? I worked hard to be here. I've worked hard to get here. Why will I want to do all that? That's kind of just how I see things. Like, who am I helping playing small and being mute? Once you think about that, if you're not able to mention who you're trying to do it for, things will start to make sense. That's just my honest opinion on that. Another thing that really do stress me out, especially with my Western brain, is definitely thinking in systems versus improvisation. I hate Nigerian time so much. Like I would stand up and say I hate Nigerian time so much because it's just like I could waste a lot of things, but my time is so important to me and I hate wasting my time. I actually do hate wasting my time. Like I feel so pissed off and embarrassed that I'm wasting my time. And I know that sometimes it's just circumstances that make us end up in certain situations. Like let's say for example now, you wake up at 5 a.m. every day. You go for your walk, say your prayers, and then once you're done, you are on your computer checking emails. And on one random day, the Wi-Fi goes out. No explanation, no nothing. The Wi-Fi goes out. To make things worse, the light goes out. To make things worse, the water goes out. It's just like everything back to back to back, and then you have to improvise. Either you already have data backed up, or you need to go to a cafe, or you need to do. And I'm just like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this. All I know is when I pay for light, there is light. When I pay for Wi-Fi, there is Wi-Fi. When I pay for rent, there is water. So why are these things blowing up? They're like, oh, the transformer blew up. That is nobody's business. Like, they're supposed to be light. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm exaggerating. I know. I do know I'm exaggerating because we have an inverter. But at the same time, it is very hot here, okay? And an AC would be nice because the inverter doesn't carry an AC. But this is just me complaining and being dramatic. But do you get what I mean? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Everybody's always like, this place is just such... Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh. Wait. I spoke too soon. I thought they brought light. Anyways, but this place is such an improvisation spot that you just have to like, figure it out as you go. That is kind of the vibe here. Meanwhile, abroad, it's more so like there is a way of doing things and you follow the way of doing things, and the way of doing things does not change because of any random thing. So like it is very predictable. It is very, very like, this is how it's supposed to go, this is how it's supposed to go, this is how it's supposed to go. There's no clickety clack 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 click. Okay, but here we have to improvise. We have to we just have to make it work. And at the end of the day, that's really all we could do, make it work. But I just feel like my main thing is definitely just look on the bright side. At every point in time, when things are going horrible, when you feel like you're about to lose your head, when you're just like, it's a wrap, you're done, you're no longer doing this again, just look on the bright side. Make lemonade out of the lemons, babe, and meditate a little bit, and then open your eyes and start the day and just hope for the best. Even if your day is going horrible, I promise you it will get better. Even if your week is going horrible, I promise you also it will get better. All right, that's all I have for you guys today on this episode, okay? And I love you, I love you, I love you so much. I'll see you guys next week, and there is light. Hallelujah, amen. I told ya. Okay, but don't forget, if you have any dilemmas, any chit chats, any thirsty, juicy Lil 1212, definitely hit the Wannabe Hotline. We are ready for y'all. I say it again. And lastly, it's your host, Bianim Sibor.